All right. Well, I'm pretty much good if you're good, bro. Start the conversation. But I thought I'd start with the fact that you said you're on the carnivore diet.
I am.
How long's that been on for?
So I did it for 5 months, and then came Easter time, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to eat regularly for Easter, enjoy the family event, and I ate everything from pasta to rice to potatoes and all that stuff. And I passed out on the couch in the middle of the family fucking lounge room, you know, and I couldn't get up. And I was like, what the like, I just crashed. And then I woke up and there was dessert on the table. I'm like, well, I'm eating normally today, so I ate some dessert. So I went and had dessert, and then I passed out again. And I realized that I wasn't actually, my body didn't really like normal food anymore, like carbs and shit like that. But slowly I kept bringing them back into my diet. So for the last 3 months, I've been eating really like regularly, as in the normal human regularly.
Yeah.
And I haven't felt good. So I went back on it about a month ago, and I don't see myself getting off it.
Wow. Yeah. I had a lad, his name's up there, the top one, Primal Fuel Nutrition.
Yep.
That's Ivy. Ivy's he's the Carnivore King. That's his Instagram handle.
Oh, yeah.
I'll send him to you after. And he just gives all the advice when it comes to why you should do it and nutrient.
Yep.
He pretty much got me off all the vitamins that I was taking in the past to try and be healthy, educated me on all that.
Yep.
And then I did that episode with him, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to do carnivore. And I did like 14 days, and I basically passed out, and I said, I'm not doing this anymore.
What happened? Why did you?
I just got too fatigued. Like, I don't know, for some people, it might not be it, like realistically.
So what happens with carnivore, there's, you first release toxins, right? So your body has to readjust. So eating all that protein means you're constantly fueling your muscles. Eating all that fat means you're constantly fueling your energy. But the reason that people get what they call a keto flu or a carnivore flu 14 days in usually is because your body's starting to like realize you're not putting that other crap in it anymore. So it starts pushing out toxins. It doesn't do it straight away. And at that 14-day mark, maybe, 20 days, it starts, you might get a bit sick, or you might get a bit of flu symptoms, and that's just like detox. And if you can get past that, what happens is your body becomes fat adapted, which means you don't burn carbohydrates for energy anymore, you burn fat. And all of a sudden, that loss of energy you're talking about is like that.
Okay.
There's like no loss of energy. It's actually too much energy, so much so you're just like, what am I going to do with it?
Yeah.
So if you ever try it again, give it, I would say a full month before you decide whether you stop or not. First time I did it, I was 2 weeks in, and on my third week, I realized after I felt like there was this brain fog that lifted. I don't know why. I didn't know that I had brain fog. Until it was gone, I didn't know I had it. And so on the third week, I woke up one morning and everything was just clear. I was like, have I been high my whole life? Because like I feel sharp. And then I realized I wasn't going to go off it. So I did it for 5 months, took a 3-month break, and now I'm not going to.
That's
cool.
Go
off of it.
Well, I ended up hitting him up again. I had another burst of motivation. I hit him up. I said, you know what, dude, I'm locking in. I'm doing 30 days. Yeah. And then that day I just decided to get Hungry Jacks again.
Hungry Jacks. So that's a fun thing. If I'm out and I'm like hungry, right, which is, I can go longer without food because I'm burning fat. So I don't need to bring something in to get energy. So if I'm extra hungry, I can just ignore food. I just don't think about it. My body just burns whatever it's got. So, but when I am hungry and I'm out and it's late at night or there's something, I'll go to McDonald's, but I'll go there and I'll order 4 quarter-pounder patties with a slice of cheese in between. I'll just ask them for essentially a beef cake, And I just sit there in Macca's with a knife and fork eating my meat,
Dude, to be honest, I try and eat as clean as I can anyway, even though I'm not doing the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
And just before you got here, Joel and I had Macca's, and I got 2 grilled chicken patties of cheese and then 4 meats and cheese. That's pretty much my favorite go-to meal every single time. Yeah.
Might do I actually didn't think about the chicken ones.
The grilled chicken, trust me, that's a mad treat because the meat and cheese, surprisingly, it's so yum. You know what I mean? Like it's actually tastier than any of the burgers.
It's tastier than burgers.
Yeah, it's mad. Yeah. But the grilled chicken and cheese is like next level, next level.
Yeah,
I only allow myself to have 2 of them at a time because I don't want to ruin what that is. It's unbelievable.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
Might stop at Macca's on the way home.
I should have offered you some. Hey.
That's really good.
So how did we came into contact through Mario?
Mario Beckish, the guy's a legend.
Yeah, how did you and Mario first get in contact? And shout out to Mario for hooking this episode up.
Mario Beckish, big love to you, my man.
So yeah, how did you and Mario come in contact?
So I have been running in circles called BNI, which is Business Network International, and it's a community of networkers. So we gather once a week. There's different chapters around the world, actually.
Wow.
And so I've joined a chapter in the Northwest region, and I met someone there, and they said, you should meet Mario. It was kind of as simple as that. And
was Mario a part of this as well?
no, but he knows people that are running in it because it's a networking group, so people know people.
Oh, he's invited me to that before.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry, go on.
It's a good way to meet people. So
Yeah.
I was in the Northwest for a while. I ended up leaving there and moving to a chapter in the city because my clients are corporate and there was a lot more trades and things like that in the Northwest. So I was finding my networking skills weren't being used to their extent in that area. But anyway, so a guest came one day and he heard about what I did. I was, giving my pitch. Everyone gets to pitch 30 seconds every meeting. And I just pitched what I do as a mentalist, an entertainer, communication expert, whatever they wanted to call it. I called it something. And the guy said, you should speak to Mario. He'll be a great person to have a chat with. And, it was amazing. Like I called Mario and he was expecting my call.
Wow.
And he said, what was his name? I think it was a man named Andrew that introduced us. I can't remember right now. Anyway, he said Andrew doesn't refer anyone to me. He doesn't generally, put anyone's name forward. So Mario was already happy to speak to me, and we had an incredible chat. It was my second ever podcast, and it was such a good chat. And me and Mario become friends. We catch up every now and then, and he has my best interest at heart. He's a really good person, and he's always looking to help people. So, when he'd met you, he's like, Xavier, you got to have a chat with Doxie. He knows I like to do podcasts. I don't have one myself, but my job at the moment is to become as visible as possible. I want to become, a household name. And I've only just moved back to Australia like less than a year ago and started this business. So got to get out there.
Yeah. Bro, shout out to him. Shout out to Mario. It was definitely, I can understand why you're recommended to do, because what you have just said, being a mentalist and a communication expert and however else you can describe it, like, it's such a rare thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's such a rare thing. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I can't wait to get down the whole rabbit hole of everything you do, how you started, where you want to go moving forward, maybe anything you can play on today, you know what I mean? Any what's the word? Like, I don't call it a trick.
Get inside your head.
Is it a trick?
Yeah, I don't like to call it a trick. If I'm going to call it anything, I'll call it an effect.
Okay.
Because I'm affecting you, but I'm using an effect to do so. When you call it tricks, so I did magic shows for 15 years. During the pandemic, I was living in Finland. I moved there with my ex-girlfriend. She's Finnish. And the pandemic just killed all my gigs. And so I was in Finland with no money, no work, and just like nothing to do.
Was Finland impacted more than Australia was impacted through that?
It wasn't. It's just that everyone was just terrified of doing anything live.
Yeah.
So all events were cancelled. People just weren't leaving the house. It was just, it was a shitty time.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do? Like, how am I going to make a living as an entertainer? And my visa only allowed me to perform to work in my own field. So I had to do entertainment. And at some point I heard people were doing virtual shows, right? Zoom shows for like corporate meetings and stuff. I was like, you can't do magic.
That's crazy.
Like, how do I get someone to pick a card from the other side of the camera?
Yeah.
So I ended up doing this show for that same Oz Realty guy. His name's Omar. And he asked me to do a performance, and I told him I could do a virtual show. I put together an hour-long mind reading show, like a mentalism show. It was so good. It was so good. And he had a cameraman there, and he filmed the show, the screen, and got some testimonials. And I just gave that video to an agent. I said, I have a virtual show, start selling me. And I just started performing online, doing mind reading and mentalism.
Wow. Then you're like, hey, check your inbox. You know what I mean?
Check your inbox. Exactly right.
Check your inbox.
Yeah. Look under your seat. Check your inbox. So mentalism became so good. I got so good at connecting with people. I always wanted to as a magician.
Can I ask as well? So you were doing magician for a very long. So you said 15 years. Is that what you said?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. So then the whole mentalism aspect. When did that start during the whole process? So you started performing it a bit more, doing the virtual shows in this COVID time, but you must have already had some experience with that aspect as well.
So I had an experience with something called mental magic, right? Which was magic dressed as mentalism. So it looked like I was doing mentalism, but it was tricks, right? But I always had this like I always have a desire to improve something. If I'm learning something, I want to make it better. I want to make it Xavier. That's what I usually say. I want to make it Xavier. So I've taken this idea and I'm like, what can I do to make it mine? And one of the things that came up to me was like, all of these magicians pretending to read minds. I'm like, surely we have this idea because it's been done before. Like, surely there is a way to do it. And so I started reading a lot on human behavior. I've done a practitioner's course in neurolinguistic programming. I studied a shit ton of hypnosis. I did like certifications in hypnotherapy and stage hypnosis. I was like, all of this understanding of people. I'm like, man, I really understand people. So it is kind of like reading a mind already. So what if I could really do it? And I started, diving into books, and I'd see a name of somebody, and then I'd follow his name and try and get a book from him. And then he'd mention somebody. And I found books from like the 30s and the 20s.
Wow.
And I'm reading all this really old literature. And I was like, man, this is the same shit psychics are doing. They're
Wow.
actually just doing mentalism effects, but they're completely convinced that they're psychic and people are believing it. I'm like, that's just mind reading wrapped up in psychic ability. So, before I went on the virtual shows, I didn't want to do it. So I spent 3 months of the pandemic just reading mentalism stuff. I was like, well, I got no gigs. I may as well learn something, what to do. Like everything goes to shit, I'll pick up a book, when I got on the virtual shows, I mean, all that study helped.
Wow.
So mentalism only really just boomed during the pandemic. I would say 6 years ago.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because mentalism, in a sense, is booming a lot, I've noticed, culturally, especially trending online, especially because you got these people going on podcasts all the time, like Oz the Mentalist has been going on crazy rounds lately. So mentalism in a whole is becoming so much more adopted as a society than it was even 10 years ago, Although Australia has had The Mentalist, which was an unbelievable TV show,
Oh, it's, Simon Baker.
Yeah.
I got a man crush on that dude. I don't know why, but I've watched that season twice, and I'm just like, and the some of the things that he did in the show, right? The reading the situations, the like analyzing stuff. And I'm watching that and I'm like, that's based on what mentalism is.
Yeah.
And so even some of the things that he did on the show, which you might think, oh, that was a trick or that was scripted. So I went and I looked at the show, and then I went into public and I went and tried that stuff, and it really worked.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, there is mentalism. I just got to get good at it.
Do you remember the episode where he was he realized that person in a wheelchair was never actually paraplegic?
Because of clean shoes.
Because he looked underneath her shoes. Yeah, that
Genius.
was sick, eh?
Genius.
Yeah, my mom actually has the biggest crush. She's like, one day, if you can interview anyone, it has to be Simon Baker.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you got a goal.
And she's like, let me make the coffee or something.
And your mum's all of a sudden wearing clothes that she doesn't usually wear, and makeup she doesn't usually wear. It's like, Mum, really?
Yeah. Oh, that's sick. So this virtual show, like, was it enjoyable? Like, really? Because I know you've gone from performing on stage and being a part of seeing people's reaction in person.
Yeah.
How was that in compared to doing this virtual show?
So originally I was like, I'm not a virtual performer. I'm not a very tech savvy guy. I'm an artist, right? I like touching things with my hands. Music, for example, magic, for example, everything was physical. So I was like, how am I going to put on a virtual show? There's all these people having studios like this prepared for their virtual shows. But then I watched a couple of virtual shows and I'm like, studio or not, your show sucked. No offense, but like, you're not a good performer. You just got a whole bunch of tech. And so what I did, I bought a secondhand webcam from like a guy that was living in like a housing commission. He's like a homeless dude, right?
Yeah.
But he somehow, I don't know where he got this camera, but it was new and it was cheap. And it was just a webcam, a simple webcam. And I bought that. I bought some $50 box lights from Amazon or something. And my first show I set up in my kitchen with a green screen in front of the fridge and projected a library behind it. And I was like, I don't need to have all the tech. I need to have a show that people love. And that first show that I did, no one in the room on the other side of the camera, no one, because I was in Finland, they were in Australia. It was 4 a.m. for me.
Wow.
They had no idea it was my first show. I
Wow.
didn't even charge them because, I told them because it was a gift, but really it was because I didn't know what I was going to do and how good it was going to be. And the show smashed. It smashed. And I was like, fuck, I can actually perform online. And so then I started doing shows in Canada, USA, UK, London, UK, South Africa, Australia from home.
Wow.
And I was getting responses like, without naming names, it's not important. I did a show for, I believe it was Google, right? They had like a faculty in their office, and there was, I think, 7,000 people on the show, on the performance, right? 7,000 people watching the show from their computer screens, and I was just navigating it with Google Meets, right? So that was one of the platforms I used, and I did the show, and they loved it. They really loved it. So what I would do at the end of my virtual show, I'd turn off my camera, my microphone, but I'd leave myself in the chat, and I'd just listen to see what people were saying about me.
Sick, yeah.
Now, in Finland, there was another entertainer who was doing virtual shows, who was doing essentially magic, not mentalism. And they'd had him previously, right? And some of the people in that performance, in that audience, had seen him as well. And I got this moment of, or listening to their speak about me, they're like, oh, Xavier, he was way better than that other guy. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, what? That guy's got, like, he built a studio for his virtual shows with all the gadgets and the tech. And here I am with just this webcam and a bookshelf behind me and my personality. And they thought I was better. And so that gave me the spark of belief. And that's all I needed. You know, it's like, got it. I'm connecting with these people. You know, I watched his show. He's a great magician. I mean, I like him as a person as well. But as far as connecting over the screen, that was missing. And I realized I didn't need tech. I just needed to be a better performer.
Yeah, mad. Okay, so I don't really know, like when it comes to your effects, I'm trying to incorporate a way. Is there any way that we could do any of the effects like throughout this episode? Is there any like things we could do while I kind of gather the information I need? Because like I've never experienced it myself firsthand. You know,
Yeah.
I only know it from watching all the YouTube. I'm obsessed with it. I watch all the YouTube. The Australia's Got Talents, the America's Got Talents, all the things that comes to mentalism.
I've got a couple of things that I've thought of doing.
Yeah.
That I plan to do. We'll try one experiment first because I want to get to know how you think. So, do you know your star sign? Some people don't.
Yes, I do.
Don't tell me what it is. Okay, so just imagine that it's written as a word in front of you, like Leo, right there. Okay, so you'd see the L, the E, the O, for example. Now, I'm going to try and pick up on the letters of your star sign one at a time. So instead of doing it in order, because that might not work, so imagine you're just jumping from letter to letter in your star sign. And I'm going to see if I can pick something up, all right? There's an R in there. I see that,
Yeah.
Keep jumping around. Oh, you went over that. There's not an A, is it?
Yeah.
And an I as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Keep jumping. It's getting a bit harder. There's not an S, is there?
That's nice.
No. Actually, imagine it as a picture and just keep thinking of it over in your head. Say it around over and over in your head like Libra, 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 Libra.
yeah, that sucks, bro. I was thinking of the letter as you were saying the letter. That's fucked. All right, I get ya. That's crazy.
Happy birthday for next month. Like a couple of months.
Yeah, that's cool, bro. Okay. All right, that's great. That's crazy. I was actually thinking of the letter. You were saying it as I was saying the letter too. Yeah. Like I'm easy to try and be a skeptical person, all right? Like I'm saying, okay, maybe someone could have guessed my star sign by knowing a little bit about me as well, but you were actually playing on what I was thinking as I was thinking it, which is the crazy part.
It gets really, really wild. Like, so I don't.
I swear to God, that was tripping me out.
I'll do something towards the end that's a bit more wild.
Yeah.
But when I speak to people, you know, I have some people that they come to me. I have an ex-girlfriend who's still my close friend. I see her every couple of months, and she came to me one day and she said, "Oh, I saw this psychic. They told me all this stuff, and it was all real. And they told me about my life situation and my husband, who's like not too awesome at the moment, and all this stuff." And I was like, "Oh yeah, so that sounds cool. Like I've always wanted to meet a psychic that's actually a psychic, because like in my opinion they don't exist."
Yeah.
And so I paid $180 to see this psychic for an hour.
Yeah.
She took me there. It was up in the Northern Rivers. And I went and saw this psychic, and she was quite a eccentric woman. And I sat down, and knowing what I know, if I give her any information, she'll run with it. So to prove her psychic ability, I didn't try to mess her up, but instead of giving away information, I was neutral. For example, she'd say, "Oh, I'm getting the letter A around this person," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I didn't say yes. I didn't say no.
Yeah.
I just said, okay. So, okay, you're getting the letter A. What are you going to do with your letter?
Yeah.
You know, like, you're the psychic. I'm not going to give you like a free ride. And after a little while, I realized she was like sweating. You know? She was like, "Oh, they're telling me. And I'm just watching this, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm telling you need to seek medical help. You know?
Yeah.
So after a while, then I thought I'd give her info. So I told her, "Oh, I have a girlfriend in Finland right now. Her dad's not too well." And she's like, "Oh, yes. I'm noticing he's got a problem in this area." I'm like, "Oh, what? Where all his organs are?" You know? He's sick, you know, his organs are in his belly. So I was like, as soon as I realized she was a phony, I played the role of a believer to give her time. It was an expensive experiment, but I was happy. You know, I recorded the whole thing. I listened back to it. And to be honest, some of the techniques she was using to get information from me, I use it on stage now.
Yeah, nice.
She's a psychic. Most psychics eventually believe their ability. They've gotten so good at what I do, they've forgotten that they've gotten good at it, and they just think it's them now. And in my opinion, that's a little bit. It's a little bit like. It's not a clear mental state, you know. It's like I know you're telling people you're talking to their dead relatives, and you actually believe it, but there's something kind of weird about you actually believing. That,
that's an interesting play on idea then. So they probably did start off with the intentional misdirection of like, you know, getting the information off them.
Yeah.
But now they've faded it till they've made it in their own head.
In their own head.
Like
or they just got
acting.
really intuitive, right? So look, as a kid, someone will walk into a room and a kid will look at a person and be like, I don't like him, or start crying. What is that kid doing? That kid is reading everything. It's reading all the nonverbal cues. It's intuitively saying this person's no good. Puppies do it as well, right? You like sometimes when I'm patting a dog and someone says to me, wow, that dog never likes anyone, or that dog usually doesn't like dudes, you know? And I'm like, well, I've got a different energy. So this dog's seeing that, right? Now, kids are doing the same thing. They're unfiltered because they don't have all of this experience to make them blocked. So as adults, we lose our intuition because we've got all these filters, we've got these belief patterns. Kids and puppies, they don't have those things. And so maybe they were really intuitive as a kid. Maybe they kept that intuition somehow. Maybe they were very fortunate. And then they started having coincidences happen, and they started being like, oh, maybe I'm psychic, and then just believing it. Now they're using intuition or you know, instant readings of people to figure out things that they shouldn't really know, but they haven't got the definition that, oh, maybe I'm actually just reading body language, or maybe I'm just picking up on subtle cues, because we're all doing it. We've always been doing it. We just lost the ability.
Well, we've definitely got intuition, you know, like we can't argue with that. Like no matter whether you believe in spirituality or hard science, everyone has a gut feeling and an intuition that leads you in a direction, which is, and they say trust your gut because it's the right way. It's the right way to, you know, live your life, whatever your gut tells you to do. So I'm interested in the fact that maybe there is people out there who might have a clearer understanding on intuition than I do. Because I only know what it's like to experience it through me. And I'm like, something tells me I shouldn't do that, or I should do this and should do that.
Trust that shit.
But the idea of psychics and mediums and all these things as well, I'm still open to it because other people have told me they've gone and seen them, and the information that they have got given to them is insane, you know? So I don't know if necessarily these people are tapping into some clairvoyance, or if they are just using that intuition that tells them this person needs to hurry up and pay that bill or they're going to lose their house, or this person's got to really lock in on this aspect because they're going to miss out on this opportunity, you know, things like that. But because I haven't experienced it firsthand, I'm not really sure. But I think even though I am skeptic, I think I would probably still fall for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is this, right? So what I learned that day when I saw that psychic, I came back to my ex and I had a chat with her and I said, look, I'm glad that she gave you information that helped you make new decisions in your life. I'm glad about that because she was helpful in that way. But she's a phony, right? Nothing she said was real. Everything she said was completely guesswork. And you guess enough things, you're going to hit, right?
It's like the Alex Jones effect. That's what I call that.
The Alex Jones effect. Yeah, spits out stuff and something's going to stick, right? At the same time, what I also know is that we don't remember things. We want to remember things that are impressive, impactful, etc. So if I listen to that recording, right, and I said yes to 3 names that she mentioned, in the recording, there's 14 names that she mentioned, but I can't remember those because the emotional impact of the name that hit is stronger. And so that emotion creates the memory. Emotions create long-term memories. So when you hear a name that's familiar, like, oh my God, she knew a name. All of a sudden your brain's like, well, those other names aren't important because this, you know, and so you'll leave a psychic session and like, she just told me the name of my best friend and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, but she also threw out 20 other names that you didn't say anything about and you forgot them. Like as if she never said them.
Yeah.
And this has been proven over and over again.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that makes sense because I'm all right. I like that idea. So it's only the parts that the only parts you're going to remember are the parts that are important. And then it's almost like you're going to believe everything that she said was right because she was only right about a couple of things.
She was only right about a couple of things, exactly.
Yeah. All right, I like that idea. So then when it comes to this techniques that, say, psychics and mediums use, is it very similar to the aspects that you use in your craft as mentalism in the entry side of the craft?
Yeah, so some of the main ones, the main takeaways are things like cold reading, right? Looking at a person and saying, because of this, it's likely you would do this, all right? This is the way your energy presents, or this is the way your character presents. I'm going to guess some things about you. I may or may not be right. For example, I met a girl out at a club one time, and we were having a conversation. She asked me what I do. I said, I'm an entertainer. And then she asked what I entertain. I said, mentalism, and I did illusions for a while. And then I asked her, what do you do? Like, what do you do with yourself? And she looked at me and she's like, well, why don't you guess? Like challenging me.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't you guess? You're the mentalist. And I just looked at her up and down. And from here, the answer was, she's a primary school teacher. From here, right? I'm not a psychic. But I looked at her, and I'm pretty sure, based on interacting with her for 10 minutes, looking at the way she dresses, the way she smiles, like, it's likely this person could be good with kids, maybe. And all that happened in a split second, and it came from here. And I just looked her up and down. I said, you're a primary school teacher. And she's like, how the fuck did you know that?
That's so sick.
Now,
bro.
it
I'd
wasn't,
love to be able to do that.
I didn't use a mentalist technique. I didn't use a trick. I didn't figure it out. I just said the first thing that came to my mind. And if you can, and I think everyone can do that. You're reading everything. You're taking in 7 billion bits of information, but you can only consciously think of 7 plus or minus 2 bits, so like 5 bits of information at a time. So right now I'm like, okay, I can see you here. I can see maybe the blue behind you and the microphone, and I can feel my watch on my hand. That's about it. But my body knows the temperature. My skin can feel someone looking at me. I can tell where the camera is, and all of this stuff is also happening, but we're filtering it all out, because if we knew everything that was happening at the same time, we'd be losing our mind. That's why when you take psychedelics, it's psycho, because the filters go away and you can experience everything at once, and it's not filtered anymore. And so when I'm being really intuitive and I'm guessing something like I shouldn't know, and someone's like, how the fuck did you do that? Well, I can't answer that. I don't know how the fuck I did that. I just went with the first thing that came up. And sometimes, if I wasn't sharp, I'd convince myself I was psychic, and I'm not.
Fuck, that's a very high level of self-awareness, Bart, to be honest, because you're not even sure how you got to those. You're just like, well, I probably got to that answer because of a couple of things that I'm witnessing.
These are the scientific reasons.
But but you're also looking for the scientific explanation in the fact that you had the intuition in the first place,
Yeah.
So that's a very self-aware to be like, but I'm not psychic. I'm not going, I'm not going
psychic,
down
man.
that road.
I'm not psychic. I do some crazy shit. Like on stage, I present as a mentalist, mind reader, expert in interaction, right? Communication. I present that way. And so because of that, I live into that. So I might be performing effects and creating effects that look like something. And then someone will come up on the stage and then randomly challenge me. And I'll just say something, and it'll be the answer to their challenge, which I didn't prepare as an effect. I didn't have a process to answer that question, but it still showed up. And that's because in that moment, my intuition is on, my senses are heightened, and I'm picking up on all the information. When I'm on stage, I'm sharper than when I'm just sitting in a couch, something even a higher level happens. I've got all this adrenaline running through me. My brain's just firing, and I'm saying things that I wouldn't expect to say. And I'm just like, how did I guess that?
I wonder, what you're making me think as well, because you're intentionally, going through your day, especially with your profession, to try and read people, to try and find the information that people are giving off without maybe knowing they're giving off as well, I wonder if now your subconscious brain is doing that, I know everyone's brain is downloading all this information, but my subconscious probably isn't trying to figure someone out, you know what I mean, with what they're telling me.
Yep.
So you probably don't need to have that intentional aspect of like, oh, let's try and figure out this person, because your subconscious can do all that work for you now, and you can just be given the gold bits that you need. So
yes, absolutely.
Wow.
So you brought something up for me. When I started learning body language or reading about it, I was very insecure at the time. And I always wanted to know if my girlfriend was lying to me, right? Like she wasn't, but I wanted to know if she was. And so I started learning body language. I'm like, well, if I can tell if she's lying to me, and I could tell if someone else is lying to me. And I was just so worried about people lying to me that I started learning it to try and figure stuff out. But I found that when you start looking for people lying, you start seeing evidence of it everywhere, right? Because I was activating the awareness. And so all of a sudden, I got better at reading body language, but then all of a sudden, everyone was lying to me. And I was like, what? That's weird. Like, what the hell? Like, I thought this was going to help me. It just made me more insecure. And what I'd actually done was I just raised my awareness for it. So I learned a lot in that time, but it actually made me very, very like anxious. now when I'm talking to someone, I don't care if you're lying to me. I actually don't. Like if you're lying to me, you've either got a reason, you're either afraid, you don't know the answer to something, but you don't want to look bad. You always lie. Like I don't care.
And it could be for your best interest.
It could be for my best interest. Like if I'm looking for it, I will see elements of deception, right? If I ask someone, about something and they don't know the answer, they'll be like, yeah, it's that way. And they're just doing all this weird touching face stuff. And I'm just like, you don't know shit.
Yeah. Is it true? I heard one time that if you look up to the right, you're looking for the information. If you look up to the left, you're making it up. Have you ever heard that?
That was true until I did NLP, practitioner's course, and realized when people were watching me and we were practicing it's called eye accessing cues, right? Looking because the eyes have to go in a different direction to access parts of the brain, right? That is true. But the person that I was like doing the example with, they put their hand up and they spoke to the lecturer and they was like, Xavier's not looking in the correct direction. And the guy's like, yeah, I know. Like, what do you mean you know? He's like, well, Xavier does it in reverse. And I was like, I'm different.
Oh, okay. Wow. So you weren't intentionally doing it wrong way.
No, I wasn't. I was just doing it in reverse. Okay. So when I'm thinking of something, I may look in whatever the opposite direction of that is. And that's why I don't really care to talk about it in that way. What I'd rather do is this. I ask you a question you have to tell the truth about. What's your address? You tell me your address. You're like, you go up there. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, what color is your bedroom door? And you're just like, and you're looking for facts. So now I know, doesn't matter left or right, that's where your facts are.
Wow.
Right? And if I say to you, I tell you what, I'm going to try something really weird. Have you ever had a pet? Yeah, you've had a pet. Okay. I want you to imagine that it's pink. And you go like that. And I'm like, cool, that's imagination. That's fact.
Wow. That's so cool.
Right?
Bro.
But I don't care which side it starts on. I just need to see which side it is and then just remember that.
Yeah.
So this idea of remembering that's always this, it's not true. One side is fact, one side is creation. And looking down anywhere below this line is usually emotion.
Okay.
Right. So when someone's feeling bad, they're like,
yeah. Okay.
It's the same
for
for
their
everybody.
head down and shit.
Head down, eyes go down.
Gravity just gets extra. Let us like start going down.
No one ever thinks about a sad past and does this. It's weird. It looks weird already.
Yeah. Oh, that's sick. Okay. One thing I'm really curious about as well, because I've only touched on a couple little cues and signals that you might be able to pick up from someone else, but if I also wanted to learn this stuff, right, how much better do you reckon you could get at picking up chicks if you go down the mentalist road?
So I think the best thing about learning this stuff, especially when it comes, I coach guys once a week, a group of boys who want to get better at dating, right? But instead of just giving them a whole bunch of like tips and tricks on how to say stuff, I teach them things about how to be better people, right? Like listening. People don't realize like half of your pickup game is about listening.
Yeah, you actually have to say fuck all. You
don't have to say shit. Yeah. And if you're also and not just listening as in listening to what she's saying, because like she might talk your ear off and you get nowhere. But I'm saying like listening for things that are coming up that you can also riff on. She could tell you a story, and then at some point in the story, it reminds you of something that happened in your life. If you weren't listening, you missed that. And you're like, oh, I've got nothing to say. Well, you do have something to say. You just didn't listen to anything she said, and you can't make a collaboration anymore. You're listening to me, and you'll hear what I say, and then you're like, what about this? And you're doing that listening, right? Yeah. You're listening for what I call listening for gold. You're listening to see what bits of information are important, and then you can just hang on to those, ask a new question, go in a new direction. Most guys are just sitting there like, what do I say next? What do I say next? I'm like, while you're thinking that, you're missing what she's saying. Yeah. I know what that's like, because there's actually a very famous ideology that's been going around the internet for like about a year, and there's most people are in their own head trying to think of what they need to say in order to fit in. Yeah. But if all you do is pay attention to everyone else, everyone likes you way more. Yeah, which makes so much sense. There was a book. I think it was called 99 Ways to Make People Like You or something like that. I'll try and remember it. If I do, I'll send it to you so you can put it in the caption. 99... I can't remember. Anyway, one of the things was when you're in a conversation, you can practice instead of talking about yourself, because it's so easy to do. We can get carried away.
It's my favorite conversation.
Absolutely. Everybody's, right? Even Dale Carnegie said it. We love talking about ourselves. If I sat here with you and you said something like, I went over to the river and we did some fishing, right? That's your sentence. All I have to do is say the last word of your sentence with a question mark attached, like fishing, like that, fishing. And you're like, yeah, we went fishing with John and James and Jeffrey, and we caught this we got this dinghy, and we had some beers. I'm like, dinghy, beers? And you're like, yeah. And then you start going on. And I'm just repeating the last one or two words with a question mark in my mind. And I just do that. If I could do that for an hour, you would talk your ass off. And at the end of it, you'd walk away and say, Xavier is such a good conversation.
That was the best podcast I ever did.
Yeah. So, I mean, next podcast, give it a shot. You know, it's like, see what someone's saying. You're listening for it. And then at the end, if you think they haven't said enough or you don't know what to say next, you just repeat their last few words back to them with curiosity. So the question can't sound fake. It's like curiosity.
I get you.
And then you stop. And they realize you're asking a question, but you didn't ask a question. You just said the word as a question.
Yeah. You're inviting them to continue on with what they're talking about. Yeah. Fuck, that's mad.
Yeah.
So one thing that popped into my head was you'll explain that as well. When you're doing these shows now that aren't virtual, I'm assuming now that because you're mentioning being on stage now and people throw you in your waist chopper in the moment.
Yep.
When did that all transpire? Was that like towards the end of COVID, you were able to finally get up on stage and perform that for the first time? And how was that adjustment going from the virtual world into the real world?
So I really wanted to get back on live shows. And it was like 2.5 years before like anyone was brave enough to put on a live event, and then they'd cancel anyway. Like it was shit.
Yeah.
And I was still in Finland. I didn't leave Finland for nearly 4 years before I came back to home. So getting on stage, it was a relief, but there was also a lot less gigs because as a virtual performer, I was doing 4 or 5 gigs a day.
Wow.
In different countries.
That's so crazy.
So like I'd finish my performance. I'd then like tear off that page on the notepad, throw it in the bin. Now it's a blank again. Put that pen there. All right, put this here and put this here. Like, okay, computer back on. I'm ready for another show.
Wow.
Whereas with a gig, I've got to pack everything down, leave, drive, go somewhere else, set up again, get the microphone. I mean, it was a transition because I actually felt pandemic was way easier and way more financially beneficial because I didn't move anywhere. But because I loved being on the stage, I didn't feel the transition was a problem. It was like a relief as well.
Yeah.
I missed human interaction. Unfortunately, being in Finland, the audience are very tame, very quiet. They clap on the inside, laugh on the inside. Nothing happens outwardly, not like Aussies. So even when I got on the stage, I still wasn't getting the responses I was getting on the computer screen.
Yeah.
So the computer screen was even better at this point.
Yeah.
Then I came back to Australia. Now, like I did a show in the Gold Coast on Tuesday. They flew me up there. They put me in a hotel for a couple of nights. I did a show for an hour on stage, and then I left. And that audience was just like with me the whole way, cheering, clapping, laughing. No one was like heckling me, but people that were calling stuff out were calling out valuable things for the show, and I'd invite them on the stage and we'd have a banter together. And after the show, people were lining up to shake my hand and ask me questions. I felt like a mad celebrity. I'm like, in Finland, the crowd was quiet most of the time, so I had to trust that I was good, whether they showed it to me or not. And that was the hardest bit.
Yeah.
But when I came back to Australia, I realized your audience will make a big difference on how you feel after a performance.
Yeah. Well, that's sick, bro. And when you do these shows, especially when you're doing them virtual and in real life, did you get to use the same material, or did everything have to get changed?
So, yep. I actually kept some of my material from my virtual show. I left some of it out. But recently I did a virtual show actually for the first time in 2 years, for this event company called Headbox. They do like luxury and private corporate events, etc. And they wanted to get to know who I was so they could book me or at least use me to collaborate for their events. And I said, look, let me do a show for you guys for free. You can find out what I'm about. And they said, we don't have any events coming up for our staff, but we're doing a nationwide conference online. I was like, great, I'll do a virtual show for you. And I just brought back all the material, and it was killer. I love doing it. If we ever have another pandemic, I'm good. I'm not going to wait this time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But my mentalism is always changing. So, for example, this gig in the Gold Coast, it was in Surfers.
Was this last night? When did you
Tuesday.
Last
2 days ago.
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah, 4 days ago.
Yeah.
So that gig, I went up there with 3 effects ready to perform for them. I had a starting effect, I had one in the middle, and I had a finale that I created specifically for the company because I like to end with a bang. And I'm there like an hour before the show. Like it was supposed to be a 45-minute show. I think about 50 minutes. And I'm there an hour before the show, and I'm getting nervous because I always do. And excited, I call it. And I'm like, I don't even know what I'm going to do for the rest of the show. And I'm like, but I know I'm going to smash it. So I just have this thing now where I've got so much knowledge about my art. I don't want to script my entire act because the audience might not be the audience for the performance pieces I've got prepared. The first trick I do, the first effect I do is designed to get them warmed up to me. The last one is designed to make them think, holy fuck, what the fuck was that? I'm not going to think about that for the rest of the night or the rest of the year.
Yeah.
The one in the middle is to like bring their energy back up. Those three are always there. But in between that, I'm like, whoa, this audience is kind of vibing this way. I'm just going to go in this direction. Maybe I'll just bring 3 people up on stage and riff, see what happens. And I know other magicians, mentalists, they just like, they shit themselves about that. But I've learned mentalism, not trickery. So I can fluff my way through a show. You know, if you told me right now to get up on a stage, I'd do you 40 minutes right now.
Oh, that's mad.
You know, and I've said that in the past. I said it to a friend in Finland. I was like, mate, I can do 40 minutes with what's in my pocket. And he's like, bullshit. I said, I could do it, you know, and I was sure about it, but I'd never done it. Then I got booked for a show in Finland. It was the last show I did. It was Christmas time. I got to an event. They hired me to do close-up magic for 10 people at a table, right? So I charged them accordingly. I got there. They walked me into a ballroom with 20 tables and a stage. And I'm like, what is this? They're like, this is where you're performing. I'm like, but you said 10 people with close-up magic. She's like, do you want more money? I'm like, no, I want to be prepared for this. And then I've got my mate's voice in the back of my head laughing at me. He's like, son of a bitch, she said you could do 40 minutes. You know? And I did it. 40 minutes on stage with what was in my pockets. I was like, all right, now there's no limit. Now there's no limit.
I said to you off camera, I used to have this big list of questions I had to go through with every single guest because I didn't know what I was going to say and I was underprepared and stressed for every situation. But it's like what you're saying, there's always an arsenal of tools now you can just dip into. You don't really have to worry anymore. So I feel the same way no matter what guest I'm going to have on, what the show is going to be. I'm like, oh, well, I'll ask a couple of these questions. These are like my main questions I want to know. But then at any point, whatever the guest has given me back, I can just dip into this piece, this piece.
Yeah.
So.
And you're listening, right? When you listen, everything you've ever learned is memorized. Like it's there. We don't have a problem with memory. We have a problem with recall, right? I give this example to people that want to learn how to remember names better, right? Now, I forgot your housemate's name, but I know why. Because I was on my way to do something when I introduced and I was like, hey, and then I left. I didn't put any effort or value into learning that name. So one of the things about learning names is actually listen and actually want to remember it. Like I'll get off the stage and I'll be driving home and I will go through the names of every single person I met on the stage and in the audience. And I'll call them out one at a time in my head. And I was like, remembering their face. I'm like, I was there. That's Julie. That's John. That's Jeff. That's Michael. That's Anthony. Like 2 days or the next day after the show, I was at the airport and people look like, Xavier, come over. You know, I was like, I mean, I felt like a rock star. I felt like a rock star. It was super nice. And I've only just come back recently to Australia, but it's moving. And I came over there and I greeted them all by name. They're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, how did you remember that? I was like, whoa, it's a practiced thing.
Yeah.
You can recall knowledge. You can practice recall. When you're being relaxed and you're being intuitive, you'll recall other stuff better as well. You don't have to think about what to say when you're talking to me. Like you're listening and then all of a sudden your brain will be like, that's a good piece of information. I remember this. And then you just say it. But if you're sitting there going, what the hell am I going to say? What question am I going to ask next? You're not going to get that information. You're blocking it.
And then I stop listening, you know. I'm in my own head again. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah. That's sick. By the way, Joel,
Joel, my man.
Yeah. It's fun. I like how you said housemate as well because Joel and I actually aren't housemates, but we're about to be. And this podcast has magical powers. So when people say things on the podcast, they come to life.
Yeah, right.
So
well,
I really appreciate you
I'm a
saying
mentalist,
that.
so I knew it was going to happen. Can we turn the AC down or off?
The heat on or the heat down, so you make it colder. So I was curious, like, do you have to make more new material in a sense where you feel like your material might be seen again by someone, and you know how a comedian can only tell a joke a certain amount of times before like they have to think of a new joke because they can't just constantly get booked out for the same jokes years and years on end.
Got it.
Do you have to make more material, or do you feel like there's enough room to be able to continue to use and shock people with the same jokes you have?
So there's
effects.
There's two answers to that. One goes back to a quote that I heard, which was, an amateur changes his act and a professional changes his audience. In other words, I should be seeing new audiences over and over again if I'm to get really successful. That's number one. So I keep it in mind. It's not gospel, but it's something I keep in mind. So then I've got to change my audiences so that they haven't seen my act yet. 2, I change my act because I want them to have the element of surprise. So sometimes if there is an outcome to a performance piece, I can change that outcome but use the same performance piece, right? So maybe there's a performance where I get a person, this happens in my act. I get a person to think of a celebrity, I get a person to think of an item from a shop, and they can change their mind, and then they end up with, a celebrity. So one example could be Katy Perry and chicken soup, right? That could be what they say. And then I'll just point to an envelope that's been sitting on the stage, and I'll pull out a photo of Katy Perry eating chicken soup, So
that's crazy.
What I'll
How do you possibly do that?
People ask that all the time. So what I'll do, instead of changing that trick, because it's a good effect, it looks good, it's cool as hell, I'll just make sure if I believe there's some people in the audience that are the same, I will use a different outcome, right? Because I'm somehow influencing that outcome. So I can influence it in a way. I might not tell the audience I'm influencing. I might present it like predicting the future. I might present it like influence, depending on how I'm feeling and what the audience is going to relate to. But whatever I'm actually doing, which I can't tell you, whatever I'm actually doing, the process and the outcome looks the same, but I can change the outcome so it's different, right? I could have it be Katy Perry and chicken soup every time if I wanted to. That's in my power, but I don't, because I want my audience to say, well, last time it was this and this time it was that. Like, how could it possibly be? But if I want it to be the same one, let's say, for example, Katy Perry was in the audience, I would make it, I would do it like that, or maybe do it with her partner, or I don't know, like I would create the trick. So I like to remember to change my audience as many times as possible to know that I'm doing well in the world. And I like to change my routine for my audience that might see me a second time because I want to, not because I have to. And I also like changing my routine because I get bored with my own stuff. Yeah. It's like, well, what else can I do?
Yeah.
What else can I do? Like, this is a great routine. And I'm going to show you something in a little bit. Maybe towards the end, I'll show you something at the finale. And that was something I created. The structure looks like something else, but the finale looks like something I created, and it doesn't match anything else. And I'll perform that process, but have different outcomes every time because it makes me more excited.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool. So it just entered my head, so I hope I can find it. It was only just there. Hopefully it doesn't go far. Yes, the question I had was, how long does it take to create one of your effects? How much time do you spend working on, whether it be any of the three, whether it be the start, the middle, or the finish? Like, is it something that you can think of over the weekend and go, oh, I might do that? Or how long does it really take to master it,
Yeah, so with magic, for example, like, I take a ball like that and I just squeeze it and it'll vanish.
Bro, did you see that? Did you see that?
That wasn't supposed to get you
like,
so good.
He's about to do it, and I was like, bro, he's about to do it, and I missed it.
So I might think of it. So with magic, like magic takes me ages to get good at the fundamental skills to be able to do this stuff with my hands.
Yeah.
That takes practice. It's like playing guitar, right? I got good at playing guitar quickly because of the way I learned to practice magic.
Oh, like you become a master of one, you become a master at all.
Something like that, yeah. I became a master of practice.
Yeah.
So if I like something, I can figure out the best way for me to practice it to get good fast. So that's something that I've learned. As far as mentalism goes, manipulating ideas, thoughts, minds, making people think or say things, that is something I can do now. So if I have an idea for an effect, actually the hardest bit is remembering in order or making it seem logical enough so that it's a fluid presentation. But I could think of something like, even on the most recent gig that I did, I thought of something on the way to the stage.
Wow.
And I performed it on the stage. And that was as fast as it took. It was like, what if I did this? I'm like, you know what? I can try it. As a magician, if it goes wrong, it's obvious. As a mentalist, if it goes wrong, you don't know what I'm going to do. It's fluid. I'm talking about thoughts. I'm talking about brains. So all of the stuff is happening in a head. So if it's gone wrong, only one person or maybe two people know what's happening.
Yeah.
They don't know what I'm supposed to do. So how do they know if it's wrong or not? I'll just keep going until it's right.
Yeah.
And with going back to the magic and the mentalist, the mental magic. Mental magic is a form of tricks, which I do. I do some of them because that gives me credibility for the other mentalism stuff. It makes it easier to read people. Mental magic has a process, a structure. It's mechanical. It'll always work, right? So making that look real is the hardest part. Making it look like it's actual mentalism is the hardest part. The reason a lot of magicians don't move from that into what I do, which is essentially mentalism without structure, is because it can go wrong, and it does go wrong. And my skill set is not just about dealing with it going wrong. It's about fixing it when it's gone wrong to make it look like it's always meant to have happened that way. And no one realized. I said, "Oh, do your tricks ever fuck up?" And I was like, 3 times on stage tonight.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That's cool. It's like a freestyle rapper. Like the best freestylers, they even like Juice WRLD, say for example, he pops into my head, the rapper. A lot of his songs have mistakes in them that he accidentally said in the studio, and he just ran with that instead.
Going that way. I mean? This is the way I'm going now.
Yeah.
Don't resist it. Just kind of run with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess how long it can take to learn is a very complicated question, and it's because I'm very curious as well. You know, there's all these little tips and tricks you have to learn about the human psychology and where people go to, like. And you're incorporating so many different things into one, which in my head is like, oh, this is one effect that he's doing, but there's probably so many different layers on top of it. You know what I mean? Like reading people, understanding the performance side of it, the storytelling. Like,
storytelling's a big one.
Yeah, so it's crazy. Even what about the psychological part of it then? How long did it take you to become comfortable with the fact that you're able to read people better, you know?
So, like I said, when I was trying to learn how to detect lies, I became very anxious and very insecure because I was actually worse at reading people after I learnt it because it became conscious and I was trying to do it all the time. Now when I'm in a conversation, I'll just talk to a person. The thing I aim to do is when I'm talking, don't think. Like listen without thinking, talk without thinking, right? Like it's got to happen unconsciously. So when I'm in a conversation with somebody, I'm not sitting there like, oh, what is their face doing? What are their ears doing? What are their eyes doing? Unless that's part of the routine. What I'm doing when I'm listening to somebody, I'll ask a question as part of my normal conversation, but I will just be able to see the moment I ask the question, they do this. There's a facial recognition that happens. And I'm like, all right, I don't judge it because I don't know what it means. I just know it happened when I said that. So either I'll bring it up straight away or maybe I'll wait for 5 minutes. I'll say the same thing again. They'll do that. That little eye-opening thing, that's a fear response, you know, because when we're afraid, that's fear, right?
Yeah.
But it happens like micro-expression. So if I see a fear response when I said something, I'll leave it. I'll say it again to see or check. And it happens again. I'm like, what are your thoughts about that? Or are you okay? Or did something happen? Or I'll ask a new question and I'll get into the answer. I don't have to guess anything. I can just ask another question. This idea that I have to try and tell if someone's lying to me by asking them, by telling them they're lying. I never tell people if I think they're lying. I ask questions until they tell me, oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't telling the truth. They fucking just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
They feel comfortable with me because when I was trying to guess that they were lying or figure out that they were lying, I was forcing them to feel uncomfortable with my energy. So they started lying because they were uncomfortable, not because they were lying.
Yeah.
And I was making people into liars. Now I'm like, man, you can just trust me. I'm not going to judge you even if you tell me the truth. And so when people have that, they don't even want to lie. And if they do lie, I'm like, is that the truth? Like, what are you really thinking? They're like, well, actually, I'm thinking this. I'm like, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
And they feel comfortable. And next time, they're not going to lie.
And is it like, do most people give off these subtle clues and micro expressions? And obviously, I don't spend much time thinking about it in my everyday interactions, but it's obviously, I think most people have a little bit of a sense of knowing when someone's lying to them or knowing when someone's uncomfortable in a certain situation. But that's only when it's usually a really noticeable tell, you know, like someone might be biting their nails or someone might be like, they've just changed their entire personality and now they're starting to be a little bit more quiet and timid and they want to go home, you know. These are really noticeable things, but do most people give off these little interactions in everyday conversation?
Yeah, everyone.
Wow.
All the time. In every country. In exactly the same way.
Wow.
So micro expressions, body language is universal. The only thing that differs is cultural body language. So, for example, all right,
Like the rude finger.
rude finger.
Does that count?
Exactly. The rude finger doesn't work. You know, you do this in some countries, that's okay in Australia, but that's like, fuck you in another country.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're like cultural appropriated body language. But as far as like, you know, I'm not feeling comfortable. The reason we rub our back of our neck like this is because when we were kids, when we were babies and we were crying, our parents would pick us up. Where would they hold us?
Wow.
Back of our neck. Why is that? Because that's supporting our head. What does that mean? That we're in safe and we're comfortable, right? So as adults, when we're feeling uncomfortable, we rub the back of our neck, right? Now this happens everywhere in the world. It doesn't matter who you are. The things that differ are things like in Japan, if you smile too much, it's aggressive, right? Or it's confrontational.
Really?
Right? So they
Fuck.
Oh, sorry, not smile. That's incorrect. It's eye contact. I'm talking about eye contact. If you hold strong eye contact in Japan, it's confrontational. That's why it's always like, you know, eye contact and down. You know, it's like bowing. It's constant respect. But say in Australia, if I keep looking at you and looking down, you're going to think I'm either weak, hiding something, lying to you, deceptive, and all of a sudden the eye contact's completely different. So in Japan, when I was there, I was making strong eye contact with my audience, and they're kind of giving me this body language like, you know, something's
You think
wrong.
you're better than me?
Samurai swords coming out, and I was like, "What the hell? Where did you even put that sword?" You know?
Yeah, everyone's got one under their table.
Everyone's got one.
Yeah.
So you know, you have to learn these things. But generally speaking, body language looks the same in the whole world. I'm writing a book at the moment.
Well,
About
I can't
how to
wait
communicate.
to get that book, bro.
Yeah, me too. I can't wait to finish it. I'm so lazy
Yeah.
with it at the moment because it's so much info, and I'm not sure whether I just put it all in the one book or just split it. But it's coming, and it's all about how to master the words that aren't spoken. You know, how to use body language, how to read it, how to change your tone of voice in a certain way, what questions to use in ways to elicit the best responses from people, the mindset that you need in order to get the best conversations out of people. It's all about how to basically be an amazing communicator and all the things that I've learned from being on stage. So I had to really dig deep and think, what do I know unconsciously now? And now I have to make it conscious again to put it on paper, which is really tricky because I do a lot of things without thinking now. You know, like I'm in a conversation, I have people saying to me, "Man, how do you know what I'm thinking?" And all I've done really is listen to them, and when they look like they're sad, I'm like, what happened just then? That question I use all the time. What happened just then?
Well,
They're like, oh, he knows I'm thinking something bad. What happened just then?
dude, I think honestly, my brain just can't help but going straight to the idea of how easy it must be to pick up chicks. Like I say, every time I'm hearing any of these techniques, it's like, because it's ways to make people feel comfortable around you. And I'm curious as well, do you think that the same techniques can be used if people had a bit of a negative, what's the word people use? Narcissistic personality trait. Do these types of people play on these same concepts, you know, like of trying to manipulate in a way?
Yeah.
Is it the same process or is it completely different?
Everything I do can be used for manipulation, right? I also like to tell people that manipulation is the most normal thing, right? Back to being a baby. You cry, you get fed, right? You literally manipulated your scenario, your surroundings to feed you, right?
My dog manipulates the shit out of me.
Your dog manipulates the shit out of you. Dogs are so good at that. Those eyes that they can give you, or that like, you know, like they can show you that they're sad because they wanted something you didn't give it to them. I'm like, you son of a bitch. And it works.
Yeah.
So manipulation is something that's always happening. My point for people is if it's happening anyway, and we're doing it unconsciously, wouldn't it be better to learn it and consciously not do it? Right?
Yeah.
I don't use my language to manipulate people anymore because I used to do it. When I learned about manipulation, about using influence and deceptive language, I was like, holy crap, I treat people like crap. Like I say this because I know it's going to cause that effect in them. And I was like, that doesn't make me a good person. It makes me good at manipulating, but I want to be good. I don't want to be good at it. So if someone does something I don't like, instead of making them feel bad about it with my words, I'll literally just tell them straight, hey man, the thing you did pissed me off. Why did you do it? Like, is there a reason? If there's a reason, I'd love to hear it. And if you're going to do it again, let me know because I can make new decisions. And I just tell people straight. Manipulation is not necessary. I'm just honest. I'm just go straight into the conversation. Like, is this the way it's going to be?
Yeah.
If I'm talking to a girl, let's say you brought it up a couple of times. Let's say I go up to a girl in a bar. She's used to guys hitting on her all night. So she's already like fed up, right? And most guys aren't good at it. So she's annoyed. And I go up to a girl, and the first thing she says to me is like, "Why are you wearing that? Why are you wearing that shirt? It looks gay or something." And I just look at her. I'm like, "Is that what you do? Is that what you do? You just like randomly insult people that are trying to say hello to you? That's kind of weird. Let's start again. I'm Xavier." You know?
Yeah, it's mad.
Is that what you do? Like, I just pointed out, like, don't manipulate me. Don't try to make me feel like shit because you feel like shit. Like, I'm here to make your life better. That's why I'm here. What are you doing? And I just call it.
Yeah, I love that. Okay. My brain just keeps, I did bring it up twice, so maybe I won't bring it up a third time, how to pick up chicks. Trying to get some extra tips and tricks out here.
We can talk off camera.
Yeah. All right. Is there any other like effects you can kind of use like as an example and show me like some of the stuff that you do?
I've got two that I really want to do.
Right.
One of them is going to be a bit weird from a distance, but we can make it work. So what I want you to do is think of a random person that's got nothing to do with this conversation. Think of a random person.
Yep.
All right. Change your mind one time.
Yep.
And now change to a third person and stick with it. This should be someone that's important to you, that's had an impact on your life. Mm-hmm. All right. So now you've done this. You've just jumped through some random people. I think the first person you would have gone to would have been someone, even though it was random, it's someone that's currently in your life. Is that right?
Kind of yes, kind of no. Yeah.
Okay, kind of yes, kind of no. Okay, so someone that may have been in here and then jumped away. The second person you jumped to would have had to be a familiar person because you were fast. And the third person is someone that's stuck in your mind that you've actually thought about, right? So I want you to think of your relationship to that person or how they've affected you. Now, I said that you want to think of someone that had an impact in your life. So this could be either a mentor or a family member. I'm gonna guess that it's a family member. Am I correct by saying that?
No.
No, okay.
Not correct.
That's okay. It can't be 100% all the time. So what I want you to do is just imagine their name written out in front of us, right? The name that you have in your mind, and say go to, I don't know how many letters. It could be 4, 5, 6, 7 letters. There's quite a lot of names out there. Think about whether it's a male or a female, right? That's the first thing. All right. Okay. For some reason, the first thing I'm getting is that I thought it was a female at first, but I'm going to tell you now it's definitely a man you're thinking of.
It is, yeah.
So you're thinking of a man. So let's jump to, say, I don't know, the third letter in the name, right? Okay. So this could be any one of the letters of the alphabet. So what about you thought of the first animal that comes to your mind that starts with that letter? You got something? Now, I don't know what animal that is. It could be a tiger or it could be a beaver, depending on the name. It's probably not going to be a vowel because, you know, it's a third letter in the name. If I ask you the second letter, it is probably going to be a vowel or something because that's kind of obvious. But as far as third letters go, this could be a tiger, a whale. It could be a beaver. It could be it couldn't be an elephant. So imagine that this animal had a food in its hand that's linked to it that everyone would recognize. You know, like, for example, if it was an elephant, it might be peanuts, for example, right? So you get something in your mind. Think of the color of the food. Oh, that was very fast. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try and jump in and see if I can collect a whole bunch of the data that you've just created in your mind. And then we'll see if we can pick up on who it is. Was this a mentor of yours?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Imagine this animal and it's in that native environment, right? It's doing its thing. It's in a tree, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's in a tree. This is a furry thing.
Yeah.
All I can get is this loud sound, but it's more like a shout, and it's like one sound at a time. It's not like a bird, because a bird's like changing. It's like, that's the sound I'm getting. You're thinking of a banana, right? This is a monkey you're thinking of?
It was.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now imagine this person that you're thinking of, your mentor, walks into the room and introduces himself to me, and he says, I tell him my name is Xavier, and he tells me his name. So for some reason, I'm getting a formal name to start with, but I think that the name that you call him is not a formal name. I think it's more of a shortened version of his name. And I said, hey, my name's Xavier. And he says to me, hey, he says to me, hey, my name, but you can call me Jim.
Bro, that's insane.
Is that who you're thinking of? Who's Jim?
It's Jim. It's Jim. His name's actually Jim. Yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, I was thinking of Jim. Yeah, that's crazy. I don't even know how you could have possibly done that. Like,
As soon as you said banana.
yeah, bro. I knew. I don't even know. I don't understand. I knew you were getting me too when you said it's in its hand. The food's in its hand. I thought, bro, how does he even know this animal has a hand to hold a food?
Well, actually, that was kind of a gauging question. When I said hand and you acted like it had a hand, I'm like, well, that might narrow it down a little bit.
Oh, bro, that's crazy. There's no chance I could have ever done that and got that answer out of someone. That's crazy. I could have picked any. I've had so many mentors in my life, realistically, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've had so many. It's funny because you said, I originally said girl, but now it's a male. It's definitely male. And it's because originally it was a female. I actually was thinking about. Yeah.
It's good.
That's wild,
It's
dude.
good. This sort of stuff, you know, when I did magic, like I brought a pack of cards with me. We can play it off camera. You know, I'll show you some card tricks because cards have been in my life for a good 30 years. Like I've always got a pack of cards in my pocket, as geeky as that sounds. Like I never leave home without it. If I was trapped in another country, actually this happened. I was in India. I ran out of money. I took a pack of cards. I asked this cafe that had a treehouse like area. There's like a ladder up the tree and there was like this rotunda at the top and there was a table in the middle. And I said, can I use your treehouse to do a workshop? And they said, yes. So I just used my last 100 rupees and I printed out flyers, learn magic with Australian magician in the treehouse. And I just posted it all over this town in India. And we went up in this treehouse and just sat there and waited. And at the time I was smoking. So I was smoking hashish, you know, just sitting there chilling, drinking my chai, smoking my joint, and then waiting for people to come up the tree. And all of a sudden the first head pops up. And I literally got a pack of cards. I went to the local convenience store and bought a few packets and just left them on the tables. And I just did this little workshop and I was just teaching card tricks. I was like, man, with a pack of cards, I can survive in India. Yeah. So everything's good. So magic is great. But the reason I mentioned it is because as much as I love magic and I still do it from time to time, quite often actually, the mentalism really gets people.
Oh, 100%. There's no way. A magic trick, I get it. A magic trick is it's misdirection. Like I want to show you a couple magic tricks too after. I know one.
Excellent. Love it.
I know one, but I can do like 3 or 4 different variations with the one trick as well, you know?
I'll give you some tips.
But I love that magic can be, like everyone knows the best audience is a drunk audience, you know, like these things, because you're just directing people where you want them to be. Not, you know what I mean? Yeah, as a mentalist, it's like, if I don't know how you could have possibly got to gym, like that is insane. Like, fuck. Bruh, it's so cool.
That's a little soundbite right there. I'm going to use that.
Trust me, I found my clip for Instagram. That's for sure. Yeah.
Do you want to do one more?
I'd love to, please.
All right. This is a kind of a weird one. Do you have your phone on you?
I do, yeah.
All right. We're going to do this together. I got something in my pocket. Yeah, we've got a tenner, $10. $10 for people at home. I'm going to put $10 on the line that I can guess something that's going to happen in the future, right? In fact, I will guess it before we even start. How about that?
Okay.
I'm going to guess it before we start. I'm going to take out a business card. Oh, actually, I gave you a business. Can you give me a blank business card there?
Yeah, I put them all over here before.
Just throw one at me.
Yeah, I might try and flick it like a magician flick.
Yeah, do that. Flick it over. Oh, that was a good flick. That was a good flick.
Beautiful.
Holy cow, mate! I used to live with a friend in Chippendale, and you know I was teaching him magic, and you know we were always practicing stuff, and so I was teaching him how to flick a card really well, and he got really good at it. Yeah. So then I just walk in on him in his desk, and I just get him in the back of the neck or something, and then he'd throw one at me, and then it was on. Yeah. We had this long hallway, and then the one night there was 4 of us. I was at this end of the hallway. My mate was in the middle. Another mate was there. Someone was in the loft. And we just had this war. And I had a lot of spare cards. So everyone just got a chunk. We're just killing each other, you know.
Me and my brother, I've done that a few times.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
It's a good game. All right.
I'm so interested. Okay. So
right.
You're going to predict something. I've got my phone.
This is what I think is going to happen. All right. That is my prediction for the future, right? We're going to do this together so that you know that I'm not cheating at any point, right? And I will get you to jump on in as well. So open up your calculator. We're going to do it together. So whatever you do, I will do as well.
All right, calculators.
So open up your calculator. Excellent. So it's going to start like this, right? So everything you do, I'll do, right? So let's say let's say, think of a year that's important to you. Not this year, but like a year that something happened. For me, 2001, I finished school. So that was super important because I got to start the world, right?
Okay, let me think for a sec.
So think of a year that's important to you.
I'm not very good at dates. Let me just try and think of a year. Let me just try and think of a year. Yeah, I got one.
All right. Tell us what it is. We're going to type it in.
All right, 2016.
2016. I had a feeling you'd say that, but whatever. 2016. So type in 2016.
Yeah.
Right. And press plus. Right.
Yep.
I'm going to actually take the 10 out and hold on to it.
Yep.
All right. Bring it next to you. All right. You can just leave that there. If this goes to shit, you keep the money. All right? If I had more, I should have used it. I don't have any out. It was just happened to be in my pocket. All right. So press plus. Did you do that? Now, Joel, you're over there. I want you to think of a year that's important to you because you're in the room. We may as well make it about all of us. You got it? What is the year?
2019.
2019. So you add 2019 and press equals.
Wait, what was your one? 2016.
Yeah.
So we should all have 40, 35. Is that right?
35, yeah.
Cool. Now, we're going to do this completely randomly, all right? Press the times button,
Yep.
and I want you to imagine a 3-digit number that's completely random, right? I got you both to think of something that's important and factual. Now you're just going to think of 3 random digit numbers, and you're going to help us, Joel. So say those 3 numbers out loud.
249.
249. Joel, what order do you want those numbers to be in?
Do I say it?
Yeah, tell us.
492.
492. So times by 492 and press equals. You should have 1985220.
Yeah, that's what
Is that
I've got.
right?
Yep.
All right. Put your phone down for a second. I'm going to come join you over there.
Yep. Do you want me to make sure you're in camera? Let me move this camera over a little bit.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Now we're both here. So we're going to do this, and then you're going to do it on your phone. But I want it to be random, okay? So I'll press the plus here. What I want you to do is randomly tap the phone, maybe like 8 or 9 times.
From your phone?
Underneath, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that's like, what, 6, 7? Let's do it 2 more times, get 2 more numbers in there. That's 9 numbers.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
So you can see the number.
I can
I'm gonna
see,
call
yeah.
it out in a second.
7 random numbers, yeah.
Yep.
Actually, there's 9 random
9
numbers.
random numbers?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So with your phone, press plus.
Okay, plus.
And
Let me just move this camera a little bit.
yep.
Sorry.
That was a weird scenario, but we're back.
Yeah.
All right, so press plus
A plus, yeah.
and add 170
170
114
114
758.
758.
Let me just double check. You typed this randomly, yeah?
Yeah.
170 114 758.
Yep.
Press
58 or 75?
758.
758
All right, and press equals.
equals.
You got this massive number now.
Yep.
Right? There's no way I knew what years you were going to choose.
Nah.
Then you chose 3 random numbers, and Joel changed the order of those numbers
Yeah.
to make it even more random. Like, we just kept escalating randomness. You just went ahead and tapped a shitload of random numbers,
yeah, facts.
right?
Yeah.
And then added it to the total, and we got 172099978.
Yep.
I said I was going to predict something before we started, and I wrote it on the back of my business card here.
Yeah.
If the number that's on your
Nah,
phone is
no
the same
way.
as the number on my business card,
I would not believe it.
Would you
That's-
be
nah,
impressed?
nah. I wouldn't believe you wrote that. There's no
Right,
way.
I tell you what,
I'm gonna watch the footage back or something. Bro.
I'm so convinced.
That's not
I'm so convinced that you can keep the tenner if I'm wrong.
okay. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
So you've got the number on your phone.
Yeah.
I wrote down 310431.
310433.
Is that the number you've got?
No.
What's your number?
172099978.
310431. So I lost a tenner.
Yeah.
No, I was kidding. I'm kidding. I did predict it. I actually did predict the number. I did predict the number because this is not a number. This is letters. I wrote it as numbers. This actually says the note.
The note.
The note, the $10 note that's in between your legs.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead and look at the serial number.
What do you mean?
Read the serial number out loud and hold
Let me
your phone
find
up
the
while you do
serial
it.
number.
Starts with a CJ.
Okay. All right. Here it is here. CJ 172099978.
Show the phone.
Fuck off, bruh. Bruh, what the hell? Where's the camera? 172 172099978. Bro, what the fuck? Look at that. What the fuck? What the fuck? I pressed random numbers into your phone.
Yes, you did.
Wow. Oh, bro, I don't even know how to start breaking that apart.
There you
I
go.
don't,
You can keep that as a souvenir.
bro. I'm framing that.
Good.
Bro, I don't know how to start breaking that down to how that's even possible. What the hell? I'm gonna have to watch this back.
Yeah, you can keep the tenner as well.
No, please. Unless you teach me how to do it, what's the point? That's insane. What the hell, bro? See, I don't even know how you can. Oh, I'm lost for questions at this point, bro.
That's the point. That's what we want. That's what we want.
What the hell? I don't even know how to. Just give me a sec. My brain my brain hurts. I can't explain this story to other people unless they watch this episode.
Yeah, good. That's a catch point.
Yeah.
You've got to watch the episode because I can't explain what happened.
Yeah, what the hell? Bro, I thought predicting who I was thinking of was crazy, but that's way crazier.
Yeah.
Bro, that's mad.
Yeah.
See, like that is... All right, one thing I'm curious about, right? I won't ask you to reveal your trick, your effect, because that's... I don't know where to start. But for me, I didn't feel like you were trying to read me when you did that. You know what I mean?
No, there's a couple of different methods that I use for things like this. And so one of my idols, his name's Darren Brown, right? He's from the UK. He used to call himself a psychological illusionist. He was the first person that used that term. And I used to do Only Magic once upon a time. Then I saw his show, right? It was like an hour and a half. Big theater, like 4,000 people. And he went from, like, he had two halves of the show. There's a first and a second half. And the entire show, all he really did was, like, this sort of stuff. Like, he had a big notepad on the stage. He wrote on it. He had some Frisbees and he chose people from the audience. He had a prediction in a box and then a bunch of people said some stuff and he showed it was already said before the show started. And I'm like, he doesn't have any props, like almost no props. Like, it's theatrical props. And I was like, and his show was one of the best shows I've ever seen. And I was like, why do I have all these props? Like, as a magician, I was carrying crap around all the time, wheeling this box of stuff to set up my show. Now I get to a show, I've got literally like a business folder with a notepad in it, a pack of cards, and maybe a rolled up piece of paper that's a prediction of some sort, and I do a show.
Wow.
I just get on stage. I worked on my showmanship because of him.
Yeah.
You know, he is the showman. And his act, he is his act. His props are not his act. A lot of illusionists, and they're amazing, they rely on a lot of boxes, and in my opinion, the assistants do all the work.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I was like, I want to be him. I want to be the act, so that wherever I go, wherever I do, it's with me. Yeah. And that's changed everything.
That's crazy. How easy is it for you to get into a room of people for the first time and showcase what you do? Like, how are you able to just walk into any environment and you can kind of do something quickly, or do you have to spend time with the people in the room to be able to do it?
I mean, we did something within
minutes.
minutes.
I guess you're right.
Yeah.
Actually, we did something within the first minute and a half of the episode.
Exactly. Yeah. That was actually intentional. I always knew I was going to do something really quick.
Yeah.
Now I can walk into a room. I can just walk into a room. If I can get your attention, I got you.
Yeah.
That's all I need. The way I've learned to get attention fast is by, for example, I do a walk around, like a mingling act at the executive suite and the SCG for the Swans. The Swans. So they booked me. QBE booked me to do a gig there. They liked me. They brought me back for the rest of the season. So every time the Swans are playing at home, like it was yesterday, I go and mingle in the executive suite with all the corporate clients and then just like mess with them, right? Now, the reason I said that is in an environment like that, there's a whole bunch of strangers, they're corporates, they could be private, it doesn't matter who they are. I've got to go to random pockets of people. On a stage, they expect me because they've been introduced to me. But as far as close-up entertainment goes, I've got to interrupt a group of people. And I've got to interrupt them, hold my frame so that they know that I'm like supposed to be there, make them listen to me and like me, and most likely I'm going to make them laugh within 5 to 10 seconds.
Yeah,
And I got good at that. You know, I got really good at it. I used to have a bunch of jokes that I would do. I was like, excuse me, guys, did anyone lose a roll of $50 notes? It was wrapped in a rubber band. And some smart ass is always like, yeah, it's mine. I'm like, oh, God, I got your rubber band. You know? Exactly,
Yeah,
right? You get a little laugh, and all of a sudden
one.
they're chill.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm only kidding. I'm supposed to be here. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And so I learned to interrupt groups and get them to like me fast, which means I've got attention. Now, once I got the attention, it's up to me to make sure I stick to it. The reason I got good at that is because when I was young and I was first doing my first magic gig, I was hired at a cafe. I used to go around to the tables at the cafe. Like they paid me $50 for 2 hours of walk around magic. It was fuck all. But as a magician, as a young kid who's starting, I was getting paid to do magic. I went to one table. There was 2 girls there. I had these like red sponge balls. You know, like every magician has them. And I started doing this trick to them. And this one girl looks up at me and she's like, "Are you done yet?"
Oh.
And I'm like, "Are you done yet?" I'm like, you know, like I want people to say something else. You know,
Yeah.
Now people are like, "Please do another. Can you do more? Can you come back?" I'm like, "Sorry, I got to go."
Smoke bomb.
I got to find them, man. I'm sure they exist. Would love a smoke bomb.
Oh, bro, that's so cool. Your talent and your craft and your passion and pursuit must be able to, one, get you to be comfortable in so many situations that most people would, find themselves to be uncomfortable in, especially being in these suites and things like that.
Yeah.
I think most people would enter an environment like that, like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Am I meant to be here? As opposed to like, I know exactly what I'm here for.
Sure.
But then on top of that too, you're probably able to even get into so many magnificent places in this world just because of what your interests are, you know?
Yep.
That's such a blessing, you know?
It's a blessing, definitely. I took a risk choosing full-time entertainment 20 years ago, right? Like my parents, they know that I loved it. They knew I was really into it, but they wanted me to get a job and work in a profession, and they want the best for me. So when I left uni after 2 years. I was like, this is not for me. Started working in a family business, which was an IGA. So my father used to own an IGA, and I was there and I was working there, and I was like, this is not how I'm going to live out my life, like in one box, you know, like it was an amazing business. My dad's done very well for himself, but it wasn't mine. And it didn't feel like me. And so I took a risk. I'm like, I'm going to go and trust my art and see what happens. And man, it's not been easy. Like there's moments where I'm just like, if I don't go out and push myself, I don't get gigs. And if I don't get gigs, I don't eat.
Yeah.
And that's like really scary. And that also taught me something. But when I meet people, they love what they do. I'm like, do that and just don't look back. Because if you really love what you do, there is some sort of like an energetic force that lifts you, you know, because we do things that we want to do because we want to be happy. Well, what if the thing that you do for a living makes you happy already?
Yeah.
Then you don't worry about the money because you're already happy. We want money to become happy. So if you're already happy, then the money will come. It's like a reverse psychology on yourself. If I chase money, I'm going to be unhappy because I think that's going to make me happy. But if I chase happiness and it's partially a way to make money, the money will follow that. And so I just make myself as happy as I can in my art. And people come to me out of nowhere and offer me events or opportunities. And recently a guy's come to me and he says he wants to manage me. And I've been looking for a manager. I just didn't know how to find one. And he's like, man, I'll manage you. Like, I've got a lot of connections. I can put you in front of these people. I can get you on stage here. I can put you in front of these celebrities. And I was like, where did you come from?
Yeah.
But I didn't chase him. I chased making myself the best version of myself. He saw that, and then he chased me. And this is the magic.
Yeah.
The real magic.
That is magic, dude. And that's the thing about magic that I do believe in, you know? Magic when it comes to misdirection and tricks and all this stuff, it's explainable. But the unexplainable fact of life that I find to be evidently true is, and I joked about it earlier in the episode, is that you speak what you want into existence and these things do come. If you chase your dreams, you will end up getting what you want, you know? I've never actually heard a story about someone who took risks, tried their hardest, and then didn't succeed.
Yep.
I've never heard that. I've only ever heard about the stories of those who gave up or they got it, you know?
Yep.
And yeah, the magic part of life, bro, is that people who are passionate, they find each other.
Yep.
You know, and
that comes up.
it's mad, bro. I thought I was lucky enough to be entering a world of, I guess, content creators in a way, you know, where I found that, I've been in the space for long enough now, but it just so happens to be coincidental that now I'm meeting people who do the similar thing.
Yep.
But it's not just content creators, it's business owners and it's athletes or it's people who are doing music or whatever it might be. And it's because everyone's passionate, and I'm a passionate person, you know, and it just makes sense that magnetically we're all getting pulled towards each other,
absolutely.
you know?
And you'll find that in life, the people that want to pull you down, whoever they may be, they've been missing the point. They think that you got to like pull people down to stand up. Well, it's kind of weird because if you just lift everyone up around you, they'll be pulling you up with them. And I don't try to beat people. There's no competition for me. Everyone's like, who's your competition? I'm like, well, if you want me to answer the question the way you know it, well, there's this artist and this artist and this artist. That would be my competition. But as far as competition goes, people book me because I'm me. There's no other me. So where's the competition? There is no competition. I actually want, if I can't do a gig, I'll call, I've actually started connecting with local artists, like mentalists, because if I can't do a gig, I want to give it away. I don't even want to take a commission. I was like, dude, here's a gig. And then I'll just give it back to me. You know, I have a mentalist friend. He does a lot of what I do. He does mentalism. He does hypnosis. He's very, very popular. Okay. And I introduced him to Mario to be on Mario's podcast. Right. And he's like, yeah, but we're the mentalist. He's like, we're the same. Like, why would you want to put me on that podcast? And Mario asked me the same question. Why would you bring your competition to me to have a platform to speak from? I was like, well, because he's a good guy. He does what I do. He loves what he does. And I think he'd make a great conversation. I have no fear about losing anything. Look what happened. Mario introduced me to you. I get another podcast out of it. Like I get more exposure. I get to have a great conversation with someone who's doing things. I didn't lose. And if my mate over there gets gigs from that podcast with Mario, he'll remember me.
Yeah.
You know, a few days later, he actually called me and said, hey, my agent's looking to book someone because I can't make it. Can you do it? There you go. It already came back.
Dude, once you realize, and I was actually, Joel and I were speaking about this the other day, once you realize to go against the narrative that so many people are accustomed to, and that's that there's only so much pie to eat.
Yep.
You know, I can't afford to give you this much slither because, you know, I got to share this much with this many other people as well. Or I'm pretty hungry. I don't know how much of my pie I'm willing to lend someone else, realistically. You've actually put yourself in a box.
Yep.
You know, you're limited to what the size of that mental pie that you've created in your head is.
Yep.
As soon as you realize this pie is abundant and infinite potential,
Yep.
and you can just give as much of it away as possible,
What a
then
pie.
that becomes the reality, you know?
Yep.
And that leads me to a point that you definitely opened my eye to earlier, and that's when you were talking about the fact that you're starting to read people for lying.
Yep.
Everyone started lying, you know? And it's because it was a great example of what I already believe, where you manifest the world you want to live in, and whatever you look for becomes true.
Yep.
Someone like me who is a faith-driven person, I believe in God, all this stuff, I'm actually looking for more reasons to believe in God, you know? And I understand the ironic hypocrisy of what that statement is, but it's the same thing as if I believe my girlfriend was lying to me already or cheating on me, then I'm going to start finding reasons why she's lying or cheating to me, you know?
And what will also happen is we're creators, right? When I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I believe in God and what I think God is, right? So I believe in that. I don't believe in what I've been told to believe in. So this is the only thing that I want to make as a caveat. However, when we go back to talking about belief and believing that your, say, girlfriend was lying or cheating or whatever, we're creators. If we want to reference the biblical script, we are made in the image of God. What does that mean? Not that God looks like a person. That's not what it means. It means we're made as creators. That's the image. The image of God is the creator of all. So if we're made as creators, our job is to create, and our skill is that we can create. That may mean create life. We create life. Two humans get together and create a life. That is as godly as you can get, because that's what God is, creating life. God is life. So without being religious, I can still agree with it. And I can still say we're born to be creative and we're born to create. Not only that, we're also creating our entire reality. Our beliefs create our actions, create our reality. So when we create our results, create our reality. So I'm going out there, I'm thinking my girlfriend's cheating. I start talking to her as if she's cheating. I push her away. She feels disconnected from me. She starts looking for that connection elsewhere. Guess what? She starts cheating. See, I told you so. No. See, I created so.
Yeah. It's unintentional manifestation, realistically. If all you have is a hammer, the whole world looks like a nail, and that's like the famous quote of referencing the fact that you look for the information that you're actually searching for and you start to find evidence pretty quickly,
Information bias.
Yeah.
There's a thing called the reticular activating system, or RAS for short. Reticular activating system is the part of our unconscious mind that takes over the job that we tell it to do, right? If I'm looking for something often enough, my unconscious mind will say, okay, I'll take that off your hands so you can focus on other stuff, right? Because remember, consciously, we can only focus on 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information. So if we can only focus on a small bit of information, that's why we give so much to our unconscious to take care of. Now, if we're not careful of what it takes care of, it'll do whatever you've taught it to do unbiasedly.
Yeah.
So that's why we can create so much shit in our life, because we're like, I think negatively here. My unconscious mind's like, I got this. You go do that. I'll keep thinking negatively for you over in this direction. And so that thing will just keep happening until you look at it and say, man, I gave it that task. I can ungive it that task, I can unlearn it. And so the reticular activating system is the thing that happens when I'm looking to buy a car, I'm looking for a Honda. Everywhere's a Honda. Why? Because I've told my brain to look for Hondas. It's like, I got this. And I'll just keep my eyes open for it. And that when it's got that 7 bits of information, and the million bits of information includes a Honda, it'll take one of those 7 bits and look at it. It'll just say, okay, bring it over here because you need it to be conscious because you need that, right? Isn't that what you need? It's like, no, I don't actually. I'm done with that.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. It's amazing to be able to talk to someone who actually understands that, well, not just scientific explanation for it as well, but like in your own experiences, to go through the phase of, and to be honest, it's something that I'm going to take away for a very long time from this episode. If you went through the phase in your life where you were trying to see if people were lying to you and then everyone started lying, it makes me think to myself, I should learn that people are happy. I should learn that people are smiling. I should learn that people are caring and giving and kind. And then everyone's going to be that forever moving forward.
Absolutely. This goes back to what I said earlier about listening for gold, right? Someone said to me one time, and I learned that phrase from a seminar that I did like 10 years ago, and I stuck with it, and I use it, Someone said to me a long time ago, if you know how to listen, everyone can be a guru, right? Or it was something along those lines. If you learn to listen, everyone is your guru. And that just means, well, how are you listening to people? What do you expect to say? Someone doesn't come, I'm going to give you an example, and I'm giving this example because I'm trying to remember it for when I do my next keynote speech, because it's a story that came up while I was in the bathroom last night brushing my teeth. I was sitting there with 2 magicians many years ago, right? I don't know them anymore. I don't hang with them anymore, but we used to have coffee all the time in Brighton, Les Sands. And we're sitting there, the 2 of us, and the 3 of us. There was a wall here. There was 1, 2, and myself, and I was facing the back door of the cafe. Now the back door swings open, and this old mate comes in with a trolley full of drinks, like Cokes and Fanta and whatever. Takes it to the kitchen, goes back, takes another one, and I saw him go past twice. I kind of made eye contact with him. That was about it. And on his way out with an empty trolley, he stopped. Right now, 2 mates sitting here, and the bro with the trolley in the corner, and I'm facing him and the door. And before he walks out the door, he turns and stops and looks at us. He's like, "Hey, boys." We all kind of looked up at him, and he started saying this weird stuff. He's like, "I am south from heaven, and I am north from hell. I am west from there, and I'm east from here." And I'm just like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But for some reason, I already thought about this guru comment that I mentioned. I was like, this is too random for me not to pay attention. That's how I took it. My 2 other mates didn't have that spiritual mindset that I've chosen. So they're kind of just giving him this look. And I'm just kind of like, what is he about to say? And he just said all of this fluff talk. It made no sense. I mean, it was sensical, but nonsensical. And then before he's finished, he said, "Don't worry about it. All I'm trying to say is be true to yourself." And he looked straight at me. And then he turned and walked out. And my 2 friends just started laughing, and they started making fun of him. And I pulled out my journal, and big letters, "Be true to yourself." That's my message from that random dude. If I had just looked at him like some crazy bro, that's what I would have gotten. But I looked at him like he's there to tell me something, because otherwise he wouldn't have.
Yeah, it's mad, dude. And I can find the similarities so prominent in my own journey so far as well, because starting off this podcast journey, I didn't have the platform at least to reach out. I didn't have a studio like this. Believe me, I used to have a bedroom with 2 shitty fucking chairs, shitty little cameras, shitty little microphones, It wasn't what I built realistically. It was just something that I was starting off with. So I just asked one friend at a time, please, bro, come on, you got to do this for me.
Yeah.
Please, bro, please. And so many of my friends are not camera people. I've met my friends through all different walks of life. And I kind of realized in the beginning it was my responsibility to get the gold out of them, you know?
Yes.
Most people come do an episode and they think to themselves like, I don't have much to say. I don't know what we're going to talk about, especially because my favorite guests are my friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, believe me, there's gold. I know for a fact there's gold now, because when I started off, I was looking for it. And now everyone that I meet in any interaction, no matter what room I'm in, I know that this person has a story. He has an experience, and I'm going to learn from whatever life they've lived.
Yep.
It might be what to do, but it definitely might be what not to do at the same time.
And that's gold.
That's gold.
That's gold. Like, look, I'm not advocating to spend time listening to people talk shit. But if you're in a situation where you must listen to a person and you start thinking they're talking shit, if you have to be there, listen for the gold in case.
The goal might just be, I'm better avoid speaking like this.
It could be that. That's right. There is always
Yeah.
a lesson. There is always a lesson. And that changes the way I interact with people. If people come to me, like I have random experiences of people meeting them and then they're just opening up about like such deep stuff that you'd probably speak to a therapist about and not me. And I'm like, why do people always just want to open up to me like that? And so I realize it's a superpower. I'm giving them a space because I'm listening to them differently. And I know that because I practice to do that. Now, I don't like small talk. This conversation, if it was any less of a conversation, I might have exited by now.
Yeah.
Like small talk's cool, but if it doesn't go anywhere, there's a limit. But I'm not going to like exit every conversation just because it sounds like crap. I'll try and take something. If I can't, if it's been a while, I'm going to respect my own time. I'm like, hey man, gotta go, right? But I'm still listening for the gold anyway. And like you said, it could be, don't take people's attention and don't give them anything.
Yeah, avoid asking shit questions.
Avoid asking shit questions.
Yeah.
And if you're going to get someone's attention, give them value.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Don't just talk them and use but and statements so that they have to keep listening and you can't get a word in and leave. I hate those guys.
Well, dude, honestly, speaking of value, it's all I've gotten for this entire episode. I find the craft and the pursuit and your passion and everything that you've been learning. I guess what started off as magic, realistically, to end up to be able to blow my fucking mind today with shit like serial numbers on a note. Like I find that stuff interesting and fascinating, but also the mentality and the mindset that you have as well. Like you've given me a lot today to remember, not just the effects as well,
Solid.
which has been cool. I definitely want to do another episode with you in the future, bro. That'd be incredible.
We'd love to be back.
That'd
That's
be
awesome.
great.
Maybe when you get to your new studio, we'll do it as
great
part of
idea.
the opener.
Yeah, please predict what it's going to look like before you walk in.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I could do something. Let me work on it.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Well, I have one final question that I do ask every single person that comes into the Doxcast as well. And it's not a question that has a right or a wrong answer. It's just from every individual's perspective.
Yep.
But before I ask it, bro, I have to say, like, I couldn't thank you enough anymore for this episode.
Thank you, man.
Thank you to Mario for hooking it up. But obviously,
Mario, big love, bro.
you're a good enough person or a great enough person for Mario to already suggest you. So I thank you for being you. And
Of course.
yeah.
Thank you.
And the final question as well, I almost forgot it, is that if someone does come to you for advice, mostly because they're just feeling a bit lost, is there any advice you'd give that person?
When they're feeling lost.
Yeah, the full question is like they're feeling a bit depressed because they're feeling lost, but I forgot the depressed bit.
So again, I always go back to the listening, right? If someone comes to me and they're feeling depressed or they're feeling lost, I want to listen to where they're at first, because I can't just give advice to people. I used to give unsolicited advice. So if someone comes to me depressed and that feels lost, the first thing I'm going to do is ask them about it and genuinely listen. From that place, I can give a better advice. If they are feeling lost, one of the things that I could say, if I'm to assume a hypothetical conversation, would be, this too shall pass, right? It's not going to stay the same. I've felt lost in many occasions. Working on yourself is the single most valuable thing anyone can do. Don't worry about changing the world around you. If the world looks like shit, think about it. If everything looks like darkness, you might just be the light. It could be that you're needing to learn something. If someone's feeling lost or feeling unawares, it is your lesson. Your lesson is to go through this and be stronger later. Right? So people think success looks like this. It actually looks like this, like this, like this, like this. this. Then it goes up really high and then it comes down. But what you remember is on that scale, the down is here, right? It might be here, but it's still above where you started. So you might be going down, you might be going up, but you're always moving forward. And yeah, stick around, stick with it. You know, I've had some people come to me in their life, they're ready to like not be here anymore. And I'm like, choose life, dude. There's a lot to live for, right? You're important to me and you're important to someone else, and your story is going to change someone else's life someday. And make sure that they remember things like that. You know?
That's a perfect answer, dude. It's a perfect answer. Wrap up a perfect conversation realistically, because success in any field, doesn't matter what that field is, if it's financial freedom, if it's time management, if it's relationship, if it's career-based driven, whatever it might be, it might just be your own self-development journey, right? Whatever you deem success to be. It's not a steady trajectory moving forward, you know? And I guarantee there's probably been times in your life, like you definitely said, you took a risk by being an entertainer, you know, and going down this path, unlike what your parents recommended for you. But
Now my parents are my biggest fans.
yeah, good for sure. But I bet there was times where you kind of felt like, should I be doing this? Should I quit? You know, should I go get this substandard job?
I have quit a few times.
Yeah.
Tried something else, came back to it. I was like, I love it.
But I think that feeling of wanting to quit, right? I can't find the definition of that word. I've been searching for about a week realistically, but it's the same as motivation. It only comes in momentary bursts of experience and feelings. But as long as you continue to move forward on the same path that you started walking on, then you're going to end up at the destination, you know?
So I need to add to that, if that's okay. I've been really talking about this and thinking about this myself. Motivation goes away, but discipline stays, right? So you might get motivated in a moment, but the motivation will dissipate, and the discipline of keep doing the thing is what sticks around. You may get motivated again, you may demotivate, but the discipline is the only thing you can have control over. So if you're waiting for motivation, you're going to just keep waiting. Another thing I like to talk about is the difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation comes by usually somehow external, all right? Maybe a thought and then you internalize it, but it's come from outside. I'm motivated to do this because of this idea. When it's inspiration, it comes from so deep within. It's like, I must do this and it's on me. And I don't need motivation. I'm inspired, you know? I'm inspired to create performance art and I do it. And if don't have gigs and I'm feeling like shit, I'll still pick up a pack of cards and shuffle them because I'm inspired to touch these things because that makes me feel good. And that's coming from some place I don't need to motivate from. The discipline comes from constantly practicing, constantly networking and doing some stuff. But that motivation is not always there. But I'm always inspired to keep going.
Yeah.
And the discipline is my choice.
I like that. Inspiration is always there. It is. But discipline, and I'm not trying to drag the conversation out for a bit of extra time, but it's like, I also think about that fact as well. And I don't even know necessarily if discipline is always there. I know motivation's fleeting and momentarily, but discipline in a way as well. I noticed that, let's just use an easy example that most people can relate to, like the gym, right? I'm disciplined enough to maintain an everyday consistency of doing so. But some days I'm not disciplined to do it. Some days I'm excited to do it. You know, it's only discipline when I don't want to do it.
That's right.
If I want to do it every day and I can't wait to go there, like, that's not discipline. You know what I mean? You don't consider it to be discipline when you're doing the thing you want to do. So discipline's also not even there all the time either. It's almost like, as long as the dream's always there, the inspiration, the faith, the hope, the desire, the intuition, the gut calling, you know, it's like, you know, there's a shining light that's always there. And the only thing that's going to get you there is the consistency, you know?
In the last podcast I had with Omar from Oz Realty, he said, he was talking about a sales message versus a marketing message, because I mentioned motivation, inspiration with him as well. And he said the sales message would be a fit body. Let's have an ad for a gym. A fit body, you can look like this for summer. You may be motivated to sign up because you saw that fit body, like, oh, that'd be cool. And then you don't go. He said a marketing message, which is inspiring, would be a photo of a healthy man or woman carrying a baby. And the message says, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for someone who matters. And you'll be a healthy, like, father or mother. And then you're going to the gym because I want to live so I can have my child in my life as long as possible. I'm not going to miss the gym because I don't give a shit about my beach body. I'm going to get a beach body, but I'm going to be alive longer. And that, you can't beat that. There's good luck stopping a person from going to the gym after that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you have to always find a bigger and better why.
Yeah.
As long as your why gets bigger, then you'll keep going.
The why is the way forward.
Yeah. Well, dude, as I said, I've said it to you before in this episode. I'm going to say it to you again. This has been such an incredible journey. I couldn't thank you enough for coming and showing me what you do and telling me all about it. And I can't wait to have you again.
It was a pleasure, man. I had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a great podcast host.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
For sure.
All right. Well, for everyone listening as well, thank you guys for making it, being a part of this as well. It was an amazing week this week that you just seen. There'll be another one next week, I promise. That's all right. Beautiful, bro.
Man.
Bought a two-seater, yeah, we heading for the sun. Charlie got my